But the Prime Minister today again cautioned the students against crossing the line. He didn't use the words exactly, but that's what it means. So in your point of view, you think anyone has crossed the line yet?
I don't think that anybody has been crossing the line because in democratic society, in this kind of circumstances, I don't think that we should have any line because the freedom of expression is still something that valuable.
Okay.
And then to set up the line, I don't think it is a kind of allowing people to give the free speech.
Right. Even if it makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
The thing is like certain facts make people uncomfortable in certain ways. And then of course like to propose with some new ideas that might be very different from the perspectives or what people are used to, it seems to be irritating some groups, especially those who feel that it's better for them to stay in the comfort zone. And then all the new things or the reforms always irritate those who are already in the comfort zone.
Many people call it an inconvenient truth now.
Could be, it is. Yeah.
And if you see the protest on the stage between the 10th of August and on the 16th of August, it's quite obvious in terms of their demands are quite different. For you, what's your take?
The thing is like in the past week, I see something that I have been long for, which means the elaboration of the demands.
Okay.
Right. If you can see that for the Sundays rally, we can see that the demand is very clear. So if you read in the statement, you see that the three demands of stop the intimidation. It's very clear that they how you call that, express circumstances that people are being violating their rights, and or sometimes that the officials have been abuse of their power and all these kind of things. So they give quite clear example and come up with a very clear demand. And of course, like to draft people constitution is also very clear, and they express their concerns of why this country needs to have people constitution and with full people participation on that. And the last thing is that when we already have a people constitution, so then they call for free and fair election under the new constitution. So then these three demands are very clear and have been elaborated. And then they even further with two standpoints, right? For two standpoints, is no coup d'etat any longer, and they don't prefer to have how you call that,
national unity
government, which means that they want system to run, that we have government and we have the opposition still, for the check and balance. And then they have one dream.
Yeah, that's what I did. An appendix to the demands. So what do you take out? What you take on the dream? For you, what does a dream really mean?
The dream is very clear, right? The dream was addressed in a short sentence, calling for the democratic monarchy, right? The constitution monarchy, which means that there are conditions of constitution monarchy, like what I addressed last time when we discussed earlier, that there might be some certain frame of relationship between the monarchy and the people and then the social institutions. So if we have such a clear dimension of the constitution monarchy, and then this country can grow. So then this is three demands, two standpoints, and one dream. And
so it seems to show that they have not really stepped back from the so-called 10 demand, right? But they have revised the way they present their demand. Instead of calling it demand, now they call it a dream, right?
It should be. It should be. But as we discussed earlier, sometimes how to address all these issues in a very clear statement. This thing seems to be very clear and accommodating public. I mean, in various sides. Doesn't matter that those who agree with them, but if those who disagree with them can learn from all these statements too.
And how do you see the younger people, like high school students, coming out to show their three fingers and participate quite actively?
The thing is like today on the way coming here, I got stuck in a very bad traffic jam, and then I had a chance to talk to one of my former colleagues who was dealing with the risk assessment. One thing that we agree upon is that very often in our society, either in the big society, in the big picture of the nation, or in our own organization, every time when we have a kind of reform, makes people get a little bit panic because the new thing, some kind of new mechanisms seem scary for those who are already in the comfort zone, right? So then to make the reform, to make change, to make all the new things, makes those people who are already in the status quo feels that they might lose something, right? But of course, like to get back into my own institution, Mahidol University, a decade ago, we had a very progressive president who was trying to reform Mahidol University. But of course, like by that time, he was capable to stay only one term, because like to make a reform, make everyone shake, right? Because it have to change something. And then we compare that to our country, to the big, broader picture. Reforming or changing things are really scary, especially those who are in a very comfortable area. So then this could be the obstacle of making progress in our society. Of course, like to make the reform provide certain risk, or maybe having some risk. But these risks are not just like when you are driving 200 kilometers on the expressway. That's too uncontrollable. But all of these risks of the reforms, of changing the new dimension of our society, it is controllable risk. And of course, like there are certain risks that we have to take in order to make progress and change. We can see several countries, for example, if you get back to see South Korea a couple of decades ago, they took several steps in the reforming of their political, social, and economic structure. They took so many risks. They have so many conflicts on the way. And at the end, it's quite fruitful for them that right now they step out from a kind of like not very developed society until this time is a kind of progressive country as well.
So before we taking the risks you mentioned, don't you think is reasonable for people in this country to sit down and talk about the risks they will be facing?
And this is the thing. This is the thing, because right now the youth are proposing the new way. I cannot guarantee that it's going to be successful, or I'm not saying it's correct. But the voice of the youth, as we discussed very often earlier, that they have a kind of period of time remain in their life in this society quite a lot, because they might have like 50, 60 years for their future in this country. So that's why they want to voice their voice, that this is what they might need some change in this society. They cannot stand in this situation any longer. Apart from these demonstrations in the university or for the youth or for people right now, the activities for the kids, like a younger generation, like the high school, is a kind of warning to the system. And today, how you call that? let's meet at the Ministry of
Ministry of
Education
Education.
after the school
Yeah, and
campaign.
hundreds of them did turn up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You see, and this is how the new generation wants to voice their concern to those who are in the authority, who are holding authority right now. And the thing is, like, as I said, that I cannot guarantee that what they say is correct, but what they say needs to be heard.
But looking forward, I mean, how do you see the way things that should be done, and to first of all to diffuse any potential of a violence, right?
Yeah.
And to find a common way out of this crisis. And judging from what the Prime Minister said this evening, it doesn't look like he is ready to make concessions.
And this is the thing. Let me tell you the story, a short story first, before jumping into how we can. There are steps to take in resolving this situation. Yesterday, I was at a demonstration at Mahidol University, and I met a secondary school girl.
Oh, secondary school.
Secondary school, the third year of secondary school girl. She came with her aunt. And then I was asking, why are you here? And she told me that she was here because she and her mother disagree in all these issues. And her mother told her, okay, let's go, you go and listen to what they talk on the stage and come back and discuss with me. All right? And in the middle of the night, because it takes some time, and she called her mother trying to tell the story. And her mother still disagreed with her. And she told, her mother told her that her mother is going to study the Constitution to discuss with this student.
So that's quite enlightening
And,
for the
yeah.
mother as well.
A good education for.
And this is like I was so grateful that both of them are disagree. But it doesn't mean that the space in discussing having intellectual discussion is gone. The mother can learn of what is going on here, learn the Constitution, and then the student has to study something for the discussions as well. So then this kind of conflict doesn't make the relationship in the family to fail.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be bad in relationship. That's
That's
why
right.
you are disagreement on that.
That's right.
So the mother should serve as a good example for those in power who still refuse to listen to
That's right.
the student's voice.
Yeah,
right?
that's why I want to convey this example into so many dimensions. The family dimension means that every family, even we are disagree with the political concerns, but we still can have other affiliations. We are still brothers, sisters, we are still parents and family members. So then keep this affiliation and try to talk to the member of the family. And then the government as well. You of course, like they talk about something, they demand something that you don't like it. But there are certain space that the government can try to listen and talk and discuss with those who are against the government by having intellectual discussion, learn the system, learn the mechanisms, and then discuss on these platforms. And this is going to be a way to initiate the future discussion.
So in your view, finger pointing is no use, right? Trying to find out who is behind these students, who is paying them to rally, is not as important as the message that they want to send.
Actually, it's not important at all, because if you know, I mean, some kind of information, you have to ask yourself, if you know that, and then what? If you know that who is behind this demonstration, and what?
It's a message that's important, right?
It is the message. It is the sequence of it, and it is the participation that matters. And then, and most matter is like how we can move on, move forward with all of these things. And then, of course, like I talk to my colleagues very often that democracy is not just only for the democratic activists. Democracy is for everyone Even they don't like democracy.
So the rally at Mahidol University last night was
Yeah.
also to reinforce the three demands.
Very similar. Yeah, very similar. Because there are different groups from the Sunday demonstration.
And nothing was mentioned about this the reforming of the monarchy.
Nothing has been mentioning, but of course, like to have the constitutional monarchy, proper constitutional monarchy means that there might be some changes anyway.
Yeah.
So you see, what's the timeline that the students have proposed is to have new major rally on the 19th of September already. But at the same time, the CCSA or the military is proposing to have state of emergency extended until the end of September as well. So how do you interpret this gesture from CCSA and military?
The thing is, like, I used to write an academic paper some months ago related to the emergency decree that Thailand is addicted to emergency. So we are in the state of emergency at all time. So that's why we are in a kind of frustrated society.
You say we, who are we?
We like people who are in the power.
Okay.
If I have power, maybe I exercise more. because like it seems for them that having power is the means of control, and then we are hypocrited by such the perception that having very extraordinary power means to have more control and more efficient of administration, which is actually not true. I had a chance to discuss with several diplomats in the past few weeks, and then I've heard that I have learned so many structure. And some countries, they say that the government has very little power. And most of their decisions are the collective ones. And then those countries are still functioning very well, a lot better than the country that we are living in.
You know, the critics of these students protesters, I mean, look at them as innocent, not knowing what they're doing, right? but I'm sure you must have talked to a lot of students at Mahidol University at least, right? So do they really know what they are wishing for?
This is what the most important point that I want to communicate tonight, that not just only for the Mahidol University students, from the messages and things that come up in the past week, they really prefer to have a new constitutional drafting, which is like fully participated by people, and of course, like they know what the steps to be taken, right? The thing is, like I'd like to address a little bit that how many steps that we might have to take. Let's say 7 steps to go further. Right now, if we have to amend the constitution, we have to focus on the Article 256, which means that the cabinet, or 1/5 of the
Senate.
the Senate, 1/5 of the House, the lower house, or 1/5 of the Parliament, or 50,000 people can propose the amendment, and then of course, like for the first reading,
This should be an easy part, right?
The first reading is not that easy because
Getting 50,000 people to sign up, or 1/5 of the parliament, that should not be.
Right now, there's an organization called ILAW is doing this rally, and from what I heard, the number of people participating is coming up very quickly. So then this is also another hope that maybe this is another channel of proposing of a new draft of the constitution. And of course, but anyway, I still believe that at this point, the member of the parliament from both the government side and for the opposition, and of course the Senate, right now I think it is their role to begin any kind of talk among these three major stakeholders, those who hold the keys to this door. Of course, like 50,000 people might be another key, but it is a kind of very difficult key. But the three major key holders are the member of the parliament, both the opposition and the government and the Senate. So then try to come up with a certain conclusion that how would they proceed. Because otherwise, for the first reading, apart from more than the majority of the two houses, we still need to have one third of the Senate. If we don't have one third of the Senate, means 34.
The first reading.
Sorry, 84. Yeah, 84
first reading.
for the first reading.
But it would be very awkward for the Senate if the majority of the lower house agree to amend 256, right?
Yeah.
And then the Senate say no. I mean that would make the Senate looks very bad in the eyes of public.
So then the Senate has to answer to the people why they say no. Because of course, it's going to be very easy for the people to point out to the Senate. Because right now, the Senates are already the focal target.
That's right,
of the people already. I think not just only for those who are come up for the rally, but I think many people in this society started to question the Senate already. So then they have to provide certain answer, proper answer if they refuse to cooperate in making these people constitution.
Okay, so that the step that can be taken in order to lead to amending of the constitution and to respond to the demand by the protesters.
The first hurdle is to convince the Senate to go along.
We have, I think people have to convince the three major holders, because at the end, if for the third reading, we still need 1/5 of the opposition as
That's
well.
the biggest hurdle.
So that's why everyone is holding the key.